Wake up out of your sleep.
Yudah Yahsharell. It's your brother, your cousin, your nephew, young Aniyunwiyah, reporting live on behalf of the Master of Breath. Messi. To let you know that despite what they told you, your righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and your law is the truth, not theirs. Not their law, your law. Your law is the truth, not theirs. Listen, I came today with a purpose. I came today with a mission. I came today with a message. And it must be explained. Each of the 3 names that you see listed in the title of this video, I will address them all individually. And I will explain exactly what I mean by this title. But I need each and every one of you to have an open mind. This is not an attempt to tear down other YouTubers or content creators. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The exact opposite. I'm going to tell you right now what the purpose of this live stream really is. I'm here to present to you today your prophets. These are your prophets. And what I am telling you is, hearken unto them. Trust them. It is difficult today to know who to trust. It is difficult today to understand whose content is even worth your time. There are many who entertain, but do not teach you the truth. There are many who would suggest to you that they are teaching the truth. They are not. Spirituality is as real as you make it. And I'm telling you now, if you understand that you are indigenous to this land, but you are still clinging to the religions that they've provided for you, instead of hearkening after the wisdom of your ancestors, then you disgrace your ancestors. You disgrace them all. You are turning their wisdom into a heaping pile of garbage. There is no measure to how hard and how fast I will bring this war to the doorstep of the Indian who is not willing to stand for Indians. I love my people in all of their clans, in all of their tribes, and in all of their forms. But if there is one thing I know you have yet to understand, because I see it in your behavior, it is that unity is paramount. Today more than ever for our people. It was division that conquered us, and it will be unity that causes us to conquer. Before I get into this, and of course, just to make sure we're all on the same page, the 3 individuals I was talking about are Ayob Nazir, and Yudah Yahsharell, and SiStar Myrah. Ayob Nazir, Yudah Yahsharell, SiStar Myrah, Ayob Nazir, Yudah Yahsharell, SiStar Myrah. Why do I say their names 3 times each? You'll notice I do that with many things. When there is a principle that is of paramount importance, I repeat them 3 times because of the Hichiti principle. The Hichiti principle of discernment. The Hichiti principle of discernment is as follows. 1 is an incident, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. 1 is an incident, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. 1 is an incident, but 2 is a coincidence. And 3, that is a pattern. Understanding this, not just intellectually, but overstanding this, understanding this spiritually, is going to allow you to discern what is true and what is not, even when someone who tells you they're trying to teach you the truth teaches you falsehood, duplicitously. And there are many who do. I think you know that. So before I go any further, speaking about these individuals, I must first provide some context and some background. Many in this community do not know me. Those who do are those who probably know me personally. But it is time that my teachings come to the internet. That is why I am here. I am Shaman Aniyunwiyah Abyatzidqenu. I am 5/16 Creek Indian. 5/16 Creek Indian. So a little over a quarter. The full quarter is Muskogee. I am 1/16 Chipi, however. I am also a quarter Cherokee, although a significant portion of that Cherokee blood is very likely Yuchi. I cannot confirm it. It's very likely Yuchi Indian, because the Cherokee from whom I descend lived in, and some of them still live in, the Yuchi territory of Tennessee that was taken over by the Cherokee during colonization. And for that also, I would like to say that my ancestors mourn their actions and repent for those actions. They are choosing to repent in me. I am the repentance of my ancestors, who viciously shed the blood of their kinfolk. But those are stories for other days. So we just covered 2/4 of my genealogy. I'm just giving a tribal genealogy. I'm not going into detail right now. Muskogee, Hichiti, Yuchi, Cherokee. So we just covered really slightly more than half of that tribal genealogy. That's 9/16. Just to be clear, that's 9/16. And I am also and I want you to have an open mind about this. I am also approximately, it gets murky here, pretty murky. I am approximately 1/4 Pamunkey Indian. Approximately 1/4 Pamunkey Indian. And the remaining 3/16 is Beta Israel, the Ethiopian Jews. Slave trade. I have emphasized many times on this channel that that you cannot understand the indigeneity of the Negro without also understanding the African component of our oppression and our identity crisis. Africa is not irrelevant, contrary to what many of you believe. Many of you who understand that we are indigenous to this land have gone so far as to deny the African origins of our people. And that is a gross misstep on your part. However, it is important to also note that this channel is very much committed to illustrating for everyone the Asiatic origins of those who come from Africa in our bloodlines. Those who were involved in the slave trade, those who were traded in the transatlantic slave trade from Africa, those people were not actually from Africa anyway, but they had been in Africa for hundreds of years already, and therefore it only makes sense to call them African. But it is important to note that technically they were Africans who had initially been Asian, and there were still some ethnic groups in Africa who understood this. But anyway, we'll do further presentations on that information in the future. I've done a little of that work on my channel already. Go back and watch my videos because I want you to understand where I'm coming from with all of this information. I never speak anything to you without providing the receipts on screen. I provide URLs, links on the screen so that you can copy them down. If you go into the description box of any video, I also have the links there. Because I provide you with these links all the time. I provide you with a detailed bibliography of sources in the description box all the time. But just in case you don't check the description box, and just in case you're on a device that makes you not feel like looking at all of that because it's a hardship, I want you to be able to see the link scroll by on the screen, because I want there to be absolutely no reason why you don't know where all the information's coming from. I want you to go and verify each and every source. And I know that the majority of you just don't have the energy to do it, but I am making it as simple as I possibly can. When I read from a book, you do not need to go into Google Books trying to Google search the title of the book, trying to find it by the author name. You don't need to do all of that. If I pull out something from the Library of Congress, I'm giving you the link to the page, loc.gov/what. I am going to show it to you in such a way that you can go verify the context of what I read and verify that the words are exactly what was said. I am showing you as often as possible the full page and the publication so that you can then see the source and understand it in its proper context and understand who's speaking, who's writing. All of that information I provide for you. That's on all of my videos. That is on all of my videos. And I do it simply because I know you ain't got time for all that. I know that you don't have time. And I'm just trying to help. And if you think that I have said something in error, I am willing to listen. I am willing to hear you out. If I am wrong about some of these things, then I'm willing to admit that I am wrong. I promise you. I promise you. But there are some who have come to me in the comments and said I was wrong about something. And when I inquired about how I was wrong and I presented my logic for why I've said what I've said, they did not respond. If you don't respond, then you can't expect me to change my mind, because you have yet to explain yourself. I have yet to have anyone comment on my channel and give a detailed description of why I'm wrong about anything. But I promise you that if you do it, I may even make a video just to admit that I'm wrong and to give you your flowers, to give you your kudos for the fact that you knew what the truth was and you understood where the holes were in my logic. That being said, I am a researcher and I do good research. I'm not just a researcher by habit. I'm not just a researcher by night. I am a researcher by trade. So to give you a professional background on me before we go any further, I'm still getting to SiStar Myrah. I'm still getting to Ayob Nazir. I'm still getting to Yudah Yahsharell. But before we get into that, I'm just trying to lay the groundwork for you understanding why I'm saying any of the things I'm saying. I will never deliberately lead you astray, and I will never waste your time. If I am telling you, it's because you need to know. I promise you that. Why am I a researcher by trade? Why do I call myself a researcher by trade? For those who don't know, some of you already do, but for those who don't know, I am a career journalist. I've been a news reporter for several print journalism is my actual field. I've been a news reporter for several magazines and newspapers over the course of many years. 11 years in the field already. Going on 12. And that is what I do. And it is an incredibly research intensive occupation. So I want everybody to understand, I do none of what I do haphazardly. I put a lot of effort into this content. I put a great deal of effort into this content. And it's only done to help my people figure out the truth. Please understand that. It's only here to help my people figure out the truth. Professionally, I have transitioned to public relations and marketing. But I am in the process of transitioning back as we speak to editorial print journalism. And I have asked many politicians tough questions in scenarios where they could feel embarrassed and might feel cornered and therefore might attack me savagely in order to avoid dealing with the questions I'm asking them. I have held the CEOs and executives of large corporations accountable for things that they refused to admit, things for which they refused to take accountability. I know what it is to verify a source and validate it. I am also a linguist by training. My bachelor's degree from an HBCU, Tennessee State University, is in English. But my concentration was in linguistics. I am also conversationally adept in Spanish. Speaking Spanish. Hablando español. Because I am a student of languages. I wanted to study our diasporic languages, so English is one, of course, and that's my primary language. So I decided to also learn Spanish. And yeah. And I also, of course, am studying the Hebrew language very closely. And I'm also studying the Creek Indian language very closely as well. The Creek Indian language is an endangered language. So few people, there are so few speakers of it that there are some who have already declared it extinct. But I have it. Why? Because I am a Creek Indian. I say all these things to give you a background on me. And to understand also that I am a shaman by the I am a shaman by the tradition of the people of the Etowah Mound. They were Hichiti. So when I call myself a shaman, what I mean is I am a spiritual leader. Many of my presentations focus more on history than on spirituality at the moment. That will not always be the case. I do want to provide more spiritual content in the future, but none of the spiritual content can be understood without a historical base. And so the bulk of the work that I'll be doing for a long time now is going to be focused on getting us all to reconcile the contradictions in the Negro identity crisis and solve for X. X being the variable identity of the Negro. Understanding the history, which is variable based on the source, right? Understanding the spiritual beliefs, which is variable based on the source. But I am endeavoring to revive the Creek Indian shamanism. And by Creek Indian tradition, the shaman is called a knower. A knower. Knowers, well, actually, you know what? I'll explain more about that in a minute. Because we do need to get to the point of this stream. I do want to explain why I use mainstream sources. You'll notice that in some of the titles for my presentations, I say mainstream evidence. I use mainstream sources for all of my presentations. And the reason why I do that is because there's already plenty of people doing content on. There are plenty of content creators focusing on fringe sources and using them to demonstrate that we are the Indians. Currently, my public relations work is for an organization you've heard me mention many times, Unahia. Unahia is an organization ran by Yudah Yahsharell. She is on this. She's been on this channel a couple of times, so you've seen her. And that organization's purpose is to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt to the American government that we are indeed the American Indians, that black people of the United States are indigenous to North America, predominantly. And the key in explaining that, the reason why this is so critical is because if we can get recognition for that, it will trigger everything else that is meant to happen next. Once they discover that we are the American Indians, they will soon realize that we are also the descendants of ancient Israelites. And I know that many of you are not on board with that. That's okay. I'm not asking anyone to read the Bible who isn't already doing so. I encourage you to do so. But you can find the truth in your ancestral traditions. We are the descendants of ancient Yahsharell, But the truth is, you can find that truth in your ancestors, who have left behind many breadcrumbs and traces for you, in your own family perhaps, but also in the sources that you can research online and through county records, and by doing your genealogy. They have left behind much information that you need to uncover so that you can know who we are. We are the keepers of that information. By studying all of this, you know what has happened? We have become the people who are most knowledgeable about all ethnic groups around the world. And we are the keepers of many histories because of this. We've been in this identity crisis for a long time, studying what a Moor was, studying who the Moors used to be, what it meant in Europe versus what it meant in Africa. We've been studying who the Olmec were. We've been studying whether or not we descend from anyone connected to Olmec civilization. We've been studying all the ancient civilizations, the Sumerians, the Akkadians, the ancient Egyptians. We've spent so much time studying Kemet that we believe we are Kemetic people. Many of us do. We're not, by the way. And we have studied so many other ethnic groups that we have determined how to know who became white and when. Yeah. Something we'll explore on this channel much more thoroughly. But what I want you to grasp is that the reason why I use mainstream sources when talking about all of these things and showing and proving that we are the American Indians, using only, when I say mainstream sources, I mean sources that are institutionally valid in the eyes of the United States government. I do this because I have dedicated this channel to supporting UNAHIA. And UNAHIA is an organization that's going to take the sum total of all of that information, all that mainstream data, and throw it in the face of the government and demand recognition for our people using the proper channels to do it. And it will work. I know this because as a journalist, my coverage was political. My primary beat has always been U.S. politics. I say that to say that I know the bureaucracy, the mismanagement, the procedures, from Robert's rules to any of myriad legislative actions. Legislative processes that these actions take. I know these things intimately because I've had to deal with them. I've had to get ahead of them. I've had to know them systematically so that I could track legislation and stay on top of what was happening with it. Any particular bill going through a state legislature, going through Congress itself, going through the processes of a municipal board. At every level, I am well versed and knowledgeable about these processes. And so I can tell you, they are not just going to shut you out because of some kind of conspiracy. And you cannot allow yourself to just get so defeated that you don't believe the truth will ever come out. Do what it takes to put the truth out. You shouldn't just be talking to our people. We must speak. We must speak to the Euro-American people. They need to know the truth too, and many of them do not know the truth. They don't know. They're not just talking about it behind your back. It's not that the powers that be are sheltering themselves, sequestering themselves in a shadowy cabal that is conspiring against you and trying to put out misinformation and trying to hide the truth. The reason we're able to find all these mainstream sources is because they never thought to hide the truth, because they're unaware of what the truth is. They're aware of the prophecies that come from the Bible, And in many cases, they do believe in those prophecies, but they have endeavored in vain to figure out how to stop those prophecies from being about them or from coming true. They don't know the first step, even today, in trying to do that. Most cases, they don't know what to do because they're still not even sure what those prophecies really mean. To you, it has become obvious ever since the awakening began. But I digress. I use mainstream sources because those are the sources that are going to work for us in the end. We will soon, and very soon, be presenting our argument to Congress. I need all of you to join Unahia to help with that process. Unahia needs staff members. Unahia needs help. If you're willing to volunteer your time, please do. But even if not, support Unahia in any way that you can, because I'm telling you, it's going to make a huge difference. You just got to believe in something at some point. At some point, you have to stop being a skeptic about everything. I understand your incredulity. I really do. It's merited. It is warranted. But we have to defeat that and believe in our own people for once. If there's one thing you must believe in, it is our people. We must believe in us. Which is precisely why I'm here doing this live stream tonight. To get you to believe in us. To point you to those in whom you can place faith. And I know that's a tricky word, and I know how that sounds to a lot of you. He's like, I'm not about to put my faith in a man. Listen to me. You must put your faith in millions of men and women. They are collectively called Yahsharell. There is only one second coming, and it is the second coming of Yahsharell. Hear me when I say it. Please have an open mind. Keep an open mind here. I'm just trying to show everyone a bigger picture. The other reason I call myself a shaman is because I was anointed. I had an experience, and I explained that experience, the experience with the feathers. The reason why you see me with feathers sometimes. I explained my experience with the feathers in my very first video on this channel ever. Feel free to go watch it. I'm not going to explain it all in this this stream today. I'm not going to do it. I appreciate you guys for being here. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not wasting your time. So I do need to move on. But I do need to make this point. Before I address Ayob Nazir and Yudah Yahsharell and SiStar Myrah, I am trying to show you something. I myself had a prophetic experience. And since then, I've had more, to a lesser extent. But this is what's supposed to happen. This is what's supposed to happen. Some of you don't know that this is what's supposed to happen. But in the awakening, many of us are supposed to awaken to the extent that we gain seers among us again. Prophets who can speak the future. Prophets who can interpret the signs. Prophets who can interpret Torah. Prophets who can lead us back to the sacred fire. I am going to be doing a presentation, many presentations in the future, about the return to sacred fire. This is the indigenous understanding that many of you don't have because you haven't taken the time to investigate the spiritual wisdom of your tribes. Some of you have discovered what tribes hold your ancestral way, but you have not sought out that ancestral way. I had a dream in 2023. And in January of 2024, I made a video explaining that dream and speaking a prophecy. The curse of the rod. I spoke that prophecy over fire on the night of the new moon. And exactly 3 months later, down to the day, every single thing that I spoke in that prophecy began coming true, one after another, beginning exactly 90 days after I had spoken it. That can be proven because I made it my first video on this channel. The first video on this channel came in January of 2024. The fulfillments of everything in that prophecy began in March of 2024. Or April. My apologies. April of 2024. So you can go watch that video at any time. I've also summed it up in another video about the wind of awakening and the wind of deep sleep. Those things are on my channel, where I explain the prophecy in detail and I explain its fulfillments. More recently, I did a video explaining the fulfillments of the prophecy to demonstrate. But the reason I bring it up now is to show, because those videos are time-stamped. So no one can say that I waited until the fulfillment manifested in the earth to speak the prophecy that I spoke over the Levant, over the Middle East, over Iran, and over Israel, the state of Israel. I clearly spoke those things 90 days in advance, and then they began to happen. Just as I said. It was the first time that I've ever experienced doing that on such a broad scale. Participating in the creation of time with the elements. That is what our people do. Each and every one of you is capable. But you must be anointed. Meaning what? It simply means that nature must choose you. You are already on the verge of being chosen if you understand who we are. If you know this early on what our identity is as a people, you know that we are Yahsharellim, you know that we are the ancient Yahsharellim, and you know our diaspora, and you know that we are the American Indians, and you know who we are in Africa, and you know who we are in Australia, you know who we are in Asia, you know who we are on all continents. If you know these things already, and you have been vibing with that understanding, you've had that understanding already, then you've already been chosen for something. The question is what? It may not be this, but you've been chosen by nature for something. Her name is Yahweh. Scientists call her natural selection. Why? Because she will choose you. She will yet again choose Yaakov. And that is happening today. That is happening today. Now listen to me. Please, I'm begging you. Please hear me out. I apologize for being long-winded, but please hear me out. That prophecy came true to a T. If you watch my content, you can go and verify the date that it was spoken, because the date is on the video. And frankly, my dream is a lot older than the video. But my point is that once I spoke it, the clock started. I co-created reality That is what prophecy actually is. So I want to break this down for you because Ayob Nazir is doing the same thing as we speak. He has been given a vision of the elements, and I'm going to explain it. That vision has been confirmed to me. The elements have gone out of their way to confirm to someone else that his vision is the truth. The same is true of a dream that was had in Africa, Tanzania specifically. And that dream spontaneously generated in the electrical impulses bouncing back and forth between the synapses of a veteran mind. Which is that of Yudah Yahsharell. I'm going to set SiStar Myrah aside. I have specific things to talk about her, to say with regard to her. Give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Bear with me, please. Bear with me. My people. Maro Hisake de Messi. Hisake de Messi is the master of breath. That is what we call her in the Creek Indian tradition. Shalosio to those of you who are just filing in. Shalosio to those of you who are coming in now. I appreciate you. I love you. I appreciate you so much. I love you. We're talking about the fact that I have been anointed as a shaman by nature itself. By nature itself. I have no clue whether or not it is because I come from a shamanic bloodline. I've tried to figure out if that was true and haven't been able to get an answer. It may not be a shamanic bloodline. I may have simply been selected, which is something that does happen from time to time. The Negro is in crisis, and the Negro's name is Yahsharell. And in crisis, Yahsharell needs interpreters. Interpreters of signs, interpreters of the communications of the elements. The elements are speaking all the time, but you must learn to hear them. And when you have been chosen, they will communicate with you even more. They are reaching out to you because you are already a chosen people. Each and every one of us. Each and every one of us. Each and every one of us is anointed to some extent. But a few of us are anointed for a specific job, and it may be that I've already served my purpose. It may be that this was the job and I've already done it, and there may be no further purpose for me. But I'm going to do my job to the best of my ability, and that is what each and every one of us must do. My prophecy came true, like I said. I've been explaining, for those of you who are just coming in, I've been explaining that my prophecy came true. Okay? Does everybody understand that? It's verifiable. Because when I spoke it in a video that is times every video on YouTube, you can see the date that it was posted. Now, from that date, count forward 90 days, and you will see that video, it's the very first video on my channel. It's the very first video on my channel. But allow me, please, to, I'm going to link you guys in the description box. And perhaps at the end of this video, if it allows me to, I'm going to show you guys, link you guys to another video on my channel about the wind of deep sleep and the wind of awakening, wherein I explain, in that video, I give great detail on the prophecy and its fulfillments, how it was fulfilled specifically. But the point I'm making right now is to tell you how prophecy works. so that we can understand it in the context of the words, the messages that have been given to us by the elements through Ayob Nazir and through Yudah Yahsharell and through SiStar Myrah. So there are downloads, there are visions, and there are dreams. Again, 1 is an incident, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. Who understands that? Who's following what I'm saying? Thank you. One is an incident, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. Do you understand this? Do you see this? There are downloads, and there are visions, and there are dreams. One of the elements is plasma, lightning, electricity. That's what's in here. It's in your brain. Your entire consciousness is that. Your entire consciousness is made up of that. Bear with me, I'm going somewhere. Bear with me. Your entire consciousness is made up of that element. Because your consciousness is an electrical stream. It is what seems like a closed circuit. It is not a closed circuit, but you're close, right? Some of you already know where I'm going. Some of you already understand these principles, and I appreciate you so much. I love you. I thank you for being here. Thank you. Hear me out. Hear me out. The elements speak to us. The elements communicate with us. Typically, those who communicate with us, and I'm going to do a presentation on this later. Communication comes by communication from the elements. Direct communication from the elements comes by way of plasma. That even on behalf of the other elements. And you keep hearing me say elements. Many of you are saying, why do you keep talking about the elements? What kind of American Indian stuff is this? What are you talking about? Listen, if you need it in a biblical context, elements are Elohim. And not because elements sounds like it's kind of morphemically close to Elohim. No, I told you before, I'm a linguist. I wouldn't do that. Elohim genuinely does mean the elements. It just so happens that the words have similar sounds in them as well. But that's just a coincidence. Listen, the elements are what you refer to, or what your Bible refers to as God. And the elements speak to us. They interfere with all things electrical. It's not just human brains. They interfere with lightning storms. They are the lightning storms. But then they also manipulate storms. Why? Because all things elemental on this planet come from them. And I'm not just talking about earth, wind, fire, water, lightning. I'm also talking about oxygen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, the compounds, not just the elements, but the compounds. Once you get into compounds, now you get into armies of elements, which is precisely why she is called Yahweh Shabaot. She is called Yahweh Shabaot, which means the Lord of hosts. That's what you see. That's how you see them write it in your Bible today. The existence of armies. Armies of who? Who's in these armies? Armies of elements. Armies of atoms. Armies of molecules. Armies of the building blocks of matter and energy and time and space. Those are your 4 dimensions. Matter and energy and time and space. I need you to grasp this. I need us to be on the same page with where I'm going here. Please understand this. And there are some of you who are already offended just because I even mentioned SiStar Myrah in the same breath as Ayob Nazir and Yudah Yahsharell. But I am telling you, bear with me for a moment, and please keep an open mind. Please keep an open mind. Do not let religion cloud your judgment. There are some teachings you've received and you've not checked to see if that was actually valid or not. Listen. Downloads, visions, and dreams come to us. A download, just so we're all on the same page with the terminology we're using, because I know that you guys say download too, probably. In your own households, you talk about getting downloads, some of you. Those of you who are initiated in the awakening, you've probably had downloads before. You may have had downloads even before you were initiated into the awakening. You may have had downloads as a child even. I can't even explain to you. I'm not even going to go into that. I'm trying not to make this too personal about myself. This isn't about me. This is about these other 3 people. I had to bring up my prophecy so that you could know I was confirmed, so that I can confirm other people. Because when a prophecy comes true, you have to understand how prophecies work. And I'll explain this further. I've actually already explained this part in one of the videos I just mentioned. The way a prophecy works is, reality is like soil. Prophecy is like rain, showering the soil with words and causing the soil to sprout vegetation. The plants, the vegetation, the crops that grow from that soil, that grow from reality, are material circumstances in reality. The vegetation that sprouts forth is a circumstance, an event, a reality, a form of reality, a part of reality. It is a truth, a thing that previously was not necessarily true, but now is, because the soil has been watered. It has been nurtured to bring forth this thing. That is how prophecy works. So prophecy, therefore, just to make sure we're understanding, prophecy is not prediction. Prophecy is not when you predict that something will happen. It is when you prophesy a future reality. You co-create that reality with Yahweh. You co-create that reality with the Great Spirit. It is when your Wakanda aligns with Wakantanka and becomes capable of speaking into Wakantanka, so that something that doesn't exist will suddenly exist. You are speaking things into existence. In dream time, all things were created. All creation happened in what the Aborigines of Australia call dream time. All things spontaneously generated They were dreamed into existence because they were spoken into existence by the elements themselves. The elements themselves spoke into existence. And whenever they speak how? The same way they speak to you. Downloads, visions, and dreams. It was dream time. It was dream time. A time that works very differently from the time that we're living in, that we're experiencing right now. Please understand this. Let me pull my totem necklace to the front. Bear with me. So that's what prophecy is. A download is when you automatically know something that 5 seconds ago you didn't even know. It is an original thought. Now, usually when people use the term original thought, they're referring to just anything that you think of without someone else's help. That's kind of what I mean here. A download is an original thought. You'd be surprised how few original thoughts you ever actually have, though. Many people call things original thoughts when they're not. The reality is, an original thought is something that no other human being taught you, and something that no experience taught you. You didn't have an experience that taught you. So it's not empirically earned, and it is not socially learned. It is neither of those. Does that make sense? Okay. That's what a download is. It is a thought. It is a truth that spontaneously generated in your mind. It came from nothing, as far as you can tell. It doesn't actually come from nothing, though. What does it come from? Who does it come from? It comes from the elements. Specifically, plasma gives it to you. Because that's the element that's governing all of this. That's the element that's governing this part of reality. The part where we get original thoughts. Messengers are of plasma. All right, now, hear me when I say, a vision is when you get a download, but the download is explained to you with visual illustration. And you're stuck for a moment. Perhaps you might say even in a trance. It may seem like a very intense daydream. In philosophy, this is called reverie. You ever had a moment where your eyes got stuck? Because for a moment, your brain could not focus on even using your eyes because it's so focused on the stream of consciousness you're experiencing. That's a vision. That's a vision. And oftentimes, you will receive a vision that is intense. Yeah. You will receive a vision that is intense, and it carries an intense message. All right. Now, a dream. I don't need to explain what a dream is. Everyone knows what a dream is. And visions are pretty similar to dreams, except you're awake for the experience. Right? Okay. Now, Here's why I explain all of that. Because, again, I'm trying not to waste anybody's time here, and I'm trying to make sure that I get to the things that must be covered. All right? So here's what must be understood. I had a vision. Yes, a new one. I had a new vision. And in that vision, what I saw, okay. Let me gather my thoughts. I had a vision, and in that vision, what I saw were three feathers, each one carried by one of the four winds. 3 feathers, 3 winds. Now, if you know anything about the 4 winds, and you could have learned this from your ancestral American Indian wisdom, or you could have learned it from the Tanakh, because both have it, regardless of what tribe you descend from. Either way, you're going to arrive at the same information about the 4 winds. First of all, that there are 4. There are 4 winds. And these 4 winds control, everything on the planet. If you don't know about these 4 winds, I'll try to do a presentation about it at some point. I'll do a video. But bottom line, storm cycles, weather patterns, the proliferation of seeds and spores for the vegetation and cultivation of more land, wildfires, you name it. These winds are controlling all of those things, driving all of those things. 3 of the 4 winds. Now, and these 4 winds, mind you, they are crosswinds of one another. They intersect. They are going in different directions. They sweep across the earth from different directions. Does that make sense? So, and they change direction even. Our people, our diaspora, the Negro diaspora, is a scattering to the wind. The Negro has been scattered to the 4 winds. Many Indians, for example, are living in the United Kingdom today and have no business being there. Right? Well, we all understand why that is. There are Indians in Africa, and we all understand why that is. We have a diaspora. It is us being scattered all over the world. It is said by legend, by our oral tradition. Our oral tradition maintains that, our oral tradition describes it as us being scattered to the 4 winds. Okay? 3 of those 4 winds each carried a feather in my vision. Now, here's what we're really saying. Here's what really happened. One was the feather of the Palestine sunbird. Another was the feather of an Abyssinian longclaw. For those who don't know what Abyssinian means, Abyssinia is an early Greek name for Ethiopia. Actually, I think it might be Latin. I think Ethiopia is the Greek name. Abyssinia is the Latin name. Somebody put in the chat. Correct me for that. It's one or the other. I don't know if I'm swapping them or not. Anyway, so the Abyssinian longclaw. One feather from the Palestinian sunbird, the Palestine sunbird. Another from the Abyssinian longclaw. And the third feather was from the sage hen. If you've never heard of the sage hen, it looks kind of like a peacock. It is indigenous to specifically Utah and can be found nowhere else. Palestine, Ethiopia, or just Africa, perhaps, somewhere, and Utah. And these birds, these feathers, they were carried by the three winds and they collided. There was an intersection of the winds, caused a storm, and out of the storm came a bird of all three feathers. This bird emerged from the storm, and this storm bird then flew around the world, visiting one habitat after another, visiting one avian habitat after another in all ecosystems around the world. And to at every habitat that this bird visited, it would nest in the nest of a specific species of bird. Whatever bird housed the storm bird in its nest, the species of that bird would all gather together from that ecosystem, from that habitat, and then follow the storm bird to its next destination, which would of course be in a different ecosystem, a new habitat, a new avian habitat, where the storm bird would then nest again, but this time with a different species, some family of birds, right? A mother and her chicks, perhaps. But then, when the storm bird left, that family of birds would follow, and all the birds of the same species as that family would also come. Because there were many of that same species in any given habitat. Where you find one, you find many. They would all follow. And this happened at every habitat that the storm bird visited, in every ecosystem where it stopped, on its journey, along its odyssey around the world. Now, what's critical is it then gathered, by doing this, once it had circumnavigated the earth, it had gathered some 200 million birds in one place, shutting down airports and all kinds of business and commerce in that area, shutting down an entire state, an entire country, making it inaccessible, making transportation impossible for humanity. And so then these birds had everyone's attention. And it was clear that there was one bird leading, but now all those birds are together and the leader no longer matters. That's the beauty of it. I felt like that was one of the most powerful parts of what I was seeing. I was awestruck by this. The storm bird is not the focal point. See, in the future, if Europeans were to read about this, if someone were to write it down and say that I said it, and then a European will read about it, they will then try to take this story and publish it and they'll probably call it Black Indian Hebrew Israelite folktale of the storm bird, missing the point entirely because it's not about the storm bird. It's about the 200 million birds that were gathered. They are collectively the point, and individually, none of them is the point. Certain birds were chosen, yes. The storm bird was chosen to do a job, yes. And that job was important. Certain birds were chosen to provide their nest to the storm bird. You might see those birds as special, sure. You could. But each time that you think about that, you're missing the point. They aren't actually special. They're chosen to do their job, that's it. But what actually matters is all the birds whom they served, all the birds whom they led. Because no one of these birds shut a country down. No one of these birds commanded the attention of the world. It became international news. These birds, they're on camera. Satellites are watching them. News crews are looking. They're so numerous that all gathered together like this, they are visible from space. Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Important flights are being missed because they can't travel into this country. It's all been shut down. A whole region of the earth is covered in birds. Covered in birds. An international collection of birds at that. Here's the kicker. Scientists did research and discovered that all the birds were related. They had never noticed before until they were all gathered. And causing certain scientists to then, certain ornithologists to ask the question, why are all these birds gathered and why is it these specific species? Not every species has participated, so what's up with these species? Come to find out, they are all part of the same phylum. They are all part of the same phylum. They're related. Not just a part of the same phylum. Further research then finds that they are part of, that they actually all trace back. Theory of evolution. To one specific species that once roamed the earth in the Jurassic period. And from that moment on, these birds commanded the attention of all humanity and all other animals, including the fish of the sea and the beast of the field, who all listened to these birds in order to know what to do. And a new religion was born. Birdism. That's crazy? It's crazy. But it's not, though. This is the return to sacred fire, which was prophesied by multiple Algonquian Indians long before today. They're all dead. They're all history. So, what is this return to sacred fire? I'm going to do future presentations about the return to sacred fire. But suffice it to say, it is Kibbutz Kaliot. Kibbutz Kaliot is the ingathering of the exiles. It is a harvest of Yahsharell. And it is coming. It is already upon us. It is happening. Maro, Hisakere Messi. And so, I'm going to show you the three feathers now. And by now you may have already put it together. The three feathers. The three feathers. And yes, these are real bird feathers. Every time you see me with feathers, all my feathers are real. All my feathers are real. I'll tell that story again in a future video to explain the origin of the feathers, my whole feather thing. Anyway, the feathers are Ayob Nazir, Yudah Yahsharell, and SiStar Myrah. That's who they are. That's who they are. Please understand that these people, the reason I'm talking about them is to confirm them to you. Because I come bearing a sign. When a prophecy is fulfilled, what is the purpose of a prophecy being fulfilled? So, okay, you've got your soil, which is reality. Rain came down and watered it and caused vegetation to sprout forth. A material circumstance has now emerged in reality. But why? For what purpose? It is always for the same purpose. It is because that vegetation is a sign. The tree that has grown because of this, that which has flowered as a result of the raining that upon this fertile, rich soil, it is a sign to all who live on the land. It is a sign to all who live on the land of something else. Every fulfilled prophecy is fulfilled to serve as a sign. So, for example, Deuteronomy 28. It is a prophecy wrought of many fulfillments. And each and every one of them has been fulfilled. Each and every one of them. So what was the sign for? That's a sign. It is an elaborate and very detailed, large, massive, unstoppable sign screaming what? Screaming that we are Yahsharell. It is identifying the chosen people. Until all of those things are fulfilled, the identity of the chosen people could not be searched out. Now the fulfillment has been completed. The prophecy is fulfilled. So now the sign is complete. The sign is complete. No, this is not a fish. This is the sign of this is the symbol of a sign. What is a sign? You have to understand what a sign is. And when I explain it to you, I explain it to you as a linguist. What I'm about to explain to you very briefly is a piece of linguistics. I'm not going to go deep on it, but this is what linguists ask. If you know any linguists personally, they will tell you about this. This is something they study in semiology and in semiotics. What we have here is a sign. A sign is a combination of two things. It's like a sign is like a coin. It has two sides. One side is the signifier and one side is the signified. The signifier and the thing signified put together make a full sign. In linguistics, we talk about it in those terms to explain how signs work. Your mind actually thinks in signs, not words. Your mind thinks in signs. There are nothing but signs being transmitted back and forth between the neurons in your brain. And the signs being transmitted, each one of them is comprised of a signifier and a signified. The signifier is the word chair. The signified is the image of a chair. Put together, you know what a chair is, and that is a thought. Signs. Thoughts are signs. What I'm trying to say to you is, prophecy is the same thing. We live in dream time. Remember, we're in a mind. We are in the mind of existence. And so creation was dream time. Everything was dreamed into existence. Well, now you have to consider we're still in the same mind that dreamed all of this. that dreamed it all into existence. So what's happening is there is a sign. When a prophecy is fulfilled, that is a sign. That is a sign. Okay? The things spoken in the prophecy are the signifiers. But collectively, all of the fulfillments of the prophecy signify something. That whatever that thing is, that's the signified. And only together are they a sign. That makes sense. Okay. My prophecy, I'm not going into detail about what it was, but it had to do with Iran attacking Israel, which, as many of you know, is a thing that happened. But there were also many other circumstances surrounding that attack that were also part of my prophecy. Earthquakes, floods, and other natural disasters. Those things also happened. I was specific about them, and I said what would happen. They did happen. The attack was punctuated by all of those things. And so now, all of those things have been fulfilled. Boom, that's it. Now, what we have, all of those things, all of those events are signifiers. Collectively, they are one signifier. Right? Prophecy. The thing that they signify, the signified, is that the Jewish state must seek deep into its roots to find us and admit to self that we are who we say we are. We are Yahsharell. I even demonstrated that they are starting to admit it to themselves. They're starting to believe it, but there has been reticence because it is very hard to believe. And you have to bear with them on that. It is hard to believe. We do sound crazy. I get that. And we need to admit that. We do sound crazy. But the truth is the truth. And it will prove itself. That's what prophecy is. Prophecy is truth that proves itself, which is why it's a sign. A sign of what? A sign that it was true. And so then you have to ask, what is the it? The it is that we are the people whom they must seek for their prophets, their judges, their rulers. You understand? They are not going to find Yahsharell among their own community. They have to look into the black community to find Yahsharell. Yahsharell is the storm bird. So I'm trying to get everyone to understand this. I know that it's a lot I'm heaping on you. I'll have to present some of this stuff in future videos so that it makes a little bit more sense. But Yahsharell, is he or she prophesied in scripture a descendant of Big Chief Boils with Love? You all call him King David. So I'm trying to get it to be understood. So this is a person who is a descendant of David, boils with love. And this person, Yahsharell, his or her name is Existence is Righteousness. Existence is our righteousness. Existence is our righteousness. Powerful name. Powerful name. Existence is our righteousness. That person will come. And the Jews have made a Messiah out of this person. even though the Tanakh never refers to this person as Mashiach. The Tanakh refers to many people as Mashiachim, and yet not this person. Why? Because it's not about the storm bird. It's not about the storm bird. This is the ultimate story. This is the true reality of what has been and will be to come of all humanity. It's not about the storm bird. So it's not about Yahsharell. It's about those whom Yahsharell is an instrument of. It's about those whom Yahsharell leads once the gathering is complete. Even Yahsharell does not even actually perform the gathering. Technically, it's really the elements doing it, right? That's why the storm bird was really 3 feathers riding on the 4th wind. They were brought together by 3 winds, and if I didn't say it before, it was actually the 4th wind that carried the storm bird. The 4th wind carried the storm bird on its journey circumnavigating the earth. So please understand, Ayob Nazir had I don't remember if it was a dream or a vision. I think it was a dream. He had a dream. And in this dream, he became uniquely convicted of a truth that is very important for you to understand, which is that, and bear with me here, all right? The truth is the truth. You may not trust what's being said, but I need you to be less guarded and just consider it for a moment. Just consider it, please. I'm not even really the origin of what's being said, okay? He said it. Ayob Nazir is the one who said it. All right? Bear with me. It has been confirmed to me that Ayob Nazir is a judge and a seer. 2 different types of prophets. Judge, seer. He is both. He has completed a Nazarite vow to Yahweh, a Nazarite vow to the Great Spirit, and he has and has since been given a dream, which is that the dream ultimately communicated that there will be a mass exodus, a mass Negro exodus from Christianity. Not just the church, I mean Christianity. What do I mean? What I mean is the IUIC won't always be IUIC, if you catch my drift. For those who don't know what IUIC means, Israel united in Christ. Israel will not always be united in Christ. First of all, Israel is not united as it is. Yahsharell is definitely divided to this day, and I am trying to fix it. I'm going to come back to IUIC. I actually have something else to say about them that was revealed to me. But, and it's all positive, I promise. But listen, and by the way, guys, Maro Hisakere Messi for giving me news that is easy to share. Well, somewhat. Many times in the past, our ancestors complained of existence only having bad news to give through the prophets. Fortunately, that's not what's happening here. This is not bad news. Many of you may feel bad about the part that Ayob Nazir is communicating. A mass Negro exodus from Christianity, from the faith of Jesus Christ, from the faith of the gospel. A mass Negro exodus from the gospel. You will pull out. You will pull out. You will withdraw. You will leave Jesus behind. Not just white Jesus. Black Yeshua as well. Yehoshua Nikmaru. Black Jesus. You will leave Black Jesus behind. You will leave Black Jesus behind. The Negro is not ready yet, but the Negro is more ready than ever. Poised and ready to do it. Right now, it may not seem like that'll ever happen, but guess what? It's actually about to happen very soon. Ayob Nazir presented this prophecy at just the right time. It's been confirmed to me. I can see he's right. And sometimes I've, in the past, felt like it wasn't actually going to happen. I actually was entertaining the notion that, maybe we're never going to kick this Jesus thing. It's just that some of us will experience shame because because we rode idolatry all the way to the end. And then there will be the few of us who didn't. And no, I was wrong. I was wrong to think that. Ayob Nazir is correct. And it is through him that I have been brought to the truth of what will actually happen to our people. Our people will lead a mass exodus from the faith of Jesus Christ. Not only will you withdraw from the gospel, but the heathen will also withdraw from the gospel and be heathen no more because of it. Ha! You will lead people away from Jesus. You will lead people away from Jesus. There will be a mass exodus. It is coming. Now, of course, they will say that this is the spirit of Antichrist. And they will lambaste us. They will chastise us. They will come at us. They will cry out religious persecution, call us oppressors, and it will become war. War. A holy war. But this will happen. And you don't have to worry about war because Elohim got your back. The elements in whom your ancestors can be found, they've got you. So, that is a prophecy from Ayob Nazir that it is coming very soon. The mass exodus of the mass Negro exodus from the gospel. The New Testament will have no power over us anymore. I do have a video planned pretty soon to explain what that power is, because there is power in Jesus, in the name of Jesus. There is power in the identity of Jesus. There is power in the beliefs about Jesus. Christianity is not entirely hollow. There's real power there. And you should know that because it is based on our ancestral scrolls, which have real power in them and have shaped reality for 2,000 years now. Reality has been entirely shaped by all the prophecies of the Tanakh. The Tanakh created the last 2,000 years. It's that powerful. It transcends time and space to do this. The New Testament was written by the colonizer and based on our ancestral scrolls. Of course, it's going to have some power because it's based on a thing with power. It is manipulating the source of actual power to use that power to its own end. All right. Now, On to Yudah Yahsharell. Yudah Yahsharell. I told you I'm saving SiStar Myrah for last. Yudah Yahsharell is a prophet as well. He is what we call Sophia and Sophie. Another two types of prophets. Different from the two types that I just mentioned for Ayob Nazir, right? Ayob Nazir is a shofet, a judge, but he is also a seer. He's a judge and a seer. Yudah Yahsharell is a judge. Yudah Yahsharell has been commissioned by the elements and confirmed to me to be a scribe and a watchman. A scribe and a watchman. Now, by Hebrew tradition, the scribe was not just someone who wrote down the instructions, not just a copyist. They were usually that by profession. But spiritually speaking, they were also people who interpreted what was written, what was dictated. They interpreted and kept record of the interpretation as well. His job is to interpret. Just like Ayob Nazir, his job is to serve as the judge, as one of the judges of the people. His job is to serve as one of the judges of the people, and his job is also to communicate with the elements as a seer. Yudah Yahsharell, his job, they both have two jobs each, so they're both busy. You understand? At least that's my understanding. His job is to serve as an interpreter, an interpreter of the instructions, Derek Yahweh, the way of existence, the way to exist, also just called Torah. He is an interpreter of Torah and Nevi'im and Ketuvim. He can interpret the writings and the prophets of old, but also that is his job. But it's not his only job. He's also a watchman. Watchman, by the Hebrew tradition, is someone who watches for signs from the elements. Signs from the elements that materialize on earth and in space. You understand? Whereas Jesus told you not to watch these stars and not to try and interpret any meaning from what's going on up there in the sky. No. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to the nonsense. Because he says that, but then of course nobody would have found. Anyway, I'm not even gonna. We couldn't have even found you if we didn't follow a star. But anyway, these things, these signs are not meant to be hidden. These signs are not meant to be, are not things that you're supposed to look away from. The New Testament specifically uses that star to confirm that this is Christ to the reader, so that you can know, not just the wise men, but so that you could know. So his job as watchman, Yudah Yahsharell, he is an interpreter of signs. And I'm not just talking about stars. That was just an example. He's an interpreter of signs of all kinds, any signs, any and all types of signs. He was given a dream recently. Well, he was given the interpretation of the dream recently. I'm not actually certain as to how old the dream itself is. I gather that his dream is actually old, but the interpretation only came to him recently. And the interpretation of the dream is actually very complex. You need to go to his channel. It's a recent video. You can watch it. Same with Ayob Nazir. The videos that they've done on the things that I'm talking about are all within the last few weeks. Last 3 weeks max. 2 weeks, I think, for both of them. Go check those videos out on their channels, please. But these guys, I'm sending you to their channels because they're communicating important things on behalf of the elements, and the elements have confirmed to me that we are supposed to listen to them. Yudah Yahsharell, the dream culminates in a very important message, which is that land, the state of Israel, you cannot ignore it and say, oh, well, the Holy Land's in America anyway, so it doesn't matter what's going on in the state of Israel. No, no, no. That land has a very significant ancestral connection to us. And I know many of you, listen, Ayob Nazir, I know for a fact, will tell you that the promised land is here. And if you have watched this channel before, you know that I'm going to tell you all day, the promised land is over there. It's not here. But let me explain to you why I am sending you to be taught by him, someone with whom I disagree. The reason I'm sending you to be taught by him, someone with whom I disagree, and someone whose beliefs about the promised land are actually possibly at odds with the dream, with the interpretation that Yudah Yahsharell has been given of his own dream, is because we must understand that there is mirror world, and then there is conventional world. I give you mainstream sources for everything because I am the messenger of the conventional world. That's it. That's all I do. I may have no further purpose, but I'm just going to do my job. He is me. Ayob Nazir is me for mirror world. I have not yet explored mirror world theory on my channel, but I will. In the future, I will. And I'll let you also know that my own wife agrees with Ayob Nazir over me. You should know that. She does not agree with me. She sides with Ayob Nazir. And she is right to do so. And those of you who side with me on where the promised land, you are right to do so. You're both right. You know why? Because what has been revealed to me, and I told you I was going to bring this back, what has been revealed to me is the dimensions. Time, space, matter, energy. We are seeing the truth through more than one dimension. Existence has confirmed to me through the elements that she will be validated. The princes of the earth will recognize who we are and what we stand for, and in us, she will be glorified, the Great Spirit. She will finally be glorified. Christianity has never glorified her. Islam has never glorified her. But finally, she will be glorified by the whole earth in the recognition of who we are, because when they discover who we are, our identity is the key. It causes a chain reaction. Once they realize who we are, it causes a chain reaction to confirm many things. If we're the American Indians, then that means that we're Asiatic. but we're black and Asiatic, which means there must be truth to this notion that that the Israelites were black, which means, oh wait, the Israelites were black. They may have come from both Africa and America because they've been in these places all the time, and we don't know where did they come from. Where's the promised land? Listen. It causes a chain reaction because then they realize, wait a minute, and if those things are true, then the prophecies about Israel that were written in the Bible must also be true because this is how we know them, and therefore this proves Deuteronomy 28 was true, this proves Isaiah 29 was true, this proves that, and all of a sudden, it's a domino effect. One scripture after another is proven to have been fulfilled, and now you know that the Tanakh has power. And once you know that the Tanakh has power, it proves that the greater existence that we all share is sentient, it is alive, it thinks for itself, it is wiser than all of us, and it is in control, and it is creating, and it is selecting what to destroy. It is creating and destroying, and selecting what to create, selecting what to destroy. It is in charge, and it did select an ethnic group on the earth to lead everyone, and we are it, and that if you do not follow us, climate change will kill you. Essentially. Basically. So what I'm saying is, our identity is the key for everyone. Even Rabbi Harry Rosenberg has said that our identity, discovering our identity, is the key to world peace. Once you know who we are, you will chill out on all brown people. White man, pale face. And I mean no disrespect to the pale face, because there are many pale face supporters here. There are many pale face supporters that we already have to this day. Please learn, guys, to be appreciative of the foreigner who sojourns among us, because they are more valuable than you know. They're going to be the difference makers in the end. It's them who will make the difference, not us. Because they believe in us, and their belief in us is the difference maker. So listen to me. You must understand, please. It has been confirmed to Yudah Yahsharell. That land is significant. He even says, it may be the promised land. And this is a man who, for quite a while now, has kept an open mind. He has kept a very open mind about the promised land being in America. He has. But I'm just trying to point out, it's not as simple as any of that. For what you guys are talking about, the fulfillment of the prophecies of our ancestors transcends time and space. How does it transcend time? It transcends time because it was said thousands of years ago, and it comes true now, and is proving itself retroactively. It's a prophecy. It's working on a time loop wherein the future confirms the past and the past confirms the future, and so on and so forth. It's a closed loop in time. That's what prophecy is. And the prophecies of our ancestors are working like that. They transcend time. What does it mean to transcend time? Meaning to be divinely beyond the rules of time. But they also transcend space, which is precisely why Ayob Nazir can come up with a video presentation so often where he shows you proof that the promised land is here. And likewise, I can show you proof over and over in multiple videos that the promised land is over there. Different types of proof between the two of us. And frankly, Yudah Yahsharell has shown proof of both, in my opinion. So what I'm trying to tell you is that arguing over where the promised land is a waste of our time. The elements are in control of time and space. Time and space are just dimensions of Yahweh, dimensions of existence. And existence is sentient. She has not forgotten us. She has not abandoned us. She has us in the palm of her hand. She has everybody in the palm of her hand. She is controlling this thing with the might of her right hand. Ikenga, as the Igbo call it. So I just want this to be clear to everybody. Please get this. Please get this. Arguing over where our ancestors belong is a waste of time right now. Because you're both right. Which is why both things will be proven from it will be proven from both angles. The prophecy is transcending space because we are proving, even now, it is being proven to the foreigner, to the paleface, that we are Yahsharell, the ancient Yahsharell. It is being proven from both sides, from both angles, from both geological positions. It's being proven both ways, so that no matter which way someone turns, they will run into the truth. They could abandon. They themselves could abandon the idea of the modern state of Israel being in the real promised land. But even if they abandon it and decide that the Mormon designation is actually the real original promised land anyway, they will simply run into the same truth. No matter which direction they run, they are running headlong into the truth of who we are. That is the genius, the brilliance, the indefatigable fulfillment of the prophecies of existence through her elements. The powers of nature, the elements. The powers of nature. Yahweh Elohim, powers of nature. Forces of nature, powers of existence. Whatever, however you want to say it. The strength of natural selection. Look at it this way. She is so brilliant that through her elements, she has made it impossible to disprove the truth. She has surrounded all humanity with the truth, so that no matter which way they turn, they run into the truth. It will soon no longer matter where the promised land is. It will be known that we are the people to inhabit it. Now, that brings me to SiStar Myrah. SiStar Myrah has actually been explaining for a long time now how the energies of the universe actually work. And many people don't understand how the energies of the universe actually work. And it's difficult, I understand. It's difficult, I get it, to decode what SiStar Myrah is explaining. She shows us a picture of a family tree. The family tree. And she talks about this all the time. The family is made up of all the armies of existence. Yahweh Shabbat, the armies of existence. Because you have to understand, each army, when put together, is its own sentient force. Fire, that's an army. Water, that's an army. Right? Plasma is an army. So when we talk about the elements, those are armies. Right? Because the individuals are really more like, carbon. Carbon is a force of nature. is an army of forces of nature, including carbon. The sun, the moon, the stars, all the celestial bodies, Venus, right? Mars. The constellations. The constellations. She is tapped in. The ancestors speak to her. She is a Sibyl. That is what she is. She is a Sibyl. And okay, I know I'm tight on time, so I'm trying to move through this thing. Now, there are many types of Sibyls, actually. Just like there are many types of prophets, there are many types of Sibyls. A Sibyl is a type of prophet also. A Sibyl is a type of prophet. She is one. She is one. But she is a type of prophet. She is a type of Sibyl who scares a lot of our people. Our population used to be full of SiStar Myrahs in the ancient day. Many of our women were like her. Not anymore. But here's the reality. She is what our ancestors called Esheth Balathob. Esheth Balathob. Basically, this is what, when you look in the Bible, it's always rendered the same way. It always says, a woman with a familiar spirit. We had many women with familiar spirits. Always women, too. Always women. Always women. Now, a woman with a familiar spirit, that is an English language way to put it. And we hear the phrase today, we hear the phrase familiar spirit, and we get scared. We believe that somewhere in the Bible, we have been told not to deal with anyone who deals with familiar spirits. That's evil, and we should not go anywhere near it. Let me explain something. First of all, it's not evil, it's badness. And badness is not the same as evil. Badness is ra'ah. Ra'ah. And it is not evil because it's actually supposed to exist. And furthermore, it's only badness in the sense that it can be abused. And what Yahweh does not want is for us to abuse what it is. I'm about to explain what it is, what she is really, what SiStar Myrah is. She speaks to, she is in communication with the elements. The elements give her constant downloads. This is called stream of consciousness. Her stream of consciousness receives constant downloads over and over and over all the time at a very high rate. At a very high rate. She operates, all of us, myself included, Ayob Nazir, Yudah Yahsharell, and SiStar Myrah, all four of us operate on very short wavelengths. Very short wavelengths. Very short wavelengths. She is a short wavelength. She is a short wavelength diviner. Divination is something that Christians are afraid of. So even when you come out of the Christian faith, you're still going to be afraid of divination and sometimes, and you feel like you're dealing with something evil. It's not evil. What you do with it could be. And in fact, let me not even say that. It's not that what you do with it could be evil, but what you do with it could be destructive. Destructive. And at times, Yahweh, because the thing is, Yahweh outlawed the destructiveness of this thing. She's in communication with the elements, right? The elements are constantly telling her what the energies are doing. So that's why she's able to tell you what's going to happen, big picture level, big picture wise, what is going to happen next on Earth. The energies are shifting, and she tells you every time she talks about this, she always lets you know there is a changing of the guard happening. Power is shifting from the pale face to us. The shift is happening now. She describes it one way when she's explaining this. Yudah Yahsharell and Ayob Nazir, they would call it the awakening. I refer to it as the return to the sacred fire. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. We are returning to the sacred fire. This is what's happening. There is a shift in power happening, and she is documenting it. She is telling everybody every incremental step that the energies take in making this shift, so that you can know what happens before it happens. Now, the abuse comes in her frequent use of this communication with the elements to channel, because the thing is, the communication with the what she's really communicating with, she's communicating with our ancestors. But she communicates with our ancestors the only way that anyone could possibly communicate with them, which is through the elements. When you transition, it's genuinely a transition. They call it death. You're transitioning to being a part of the elements. Your soul is now part of the energy that keeps getting recycled through the law of conservation of mass. Energy, matter, energy. Energy becomes matter, matter becomes energy, energy becomes matter, matter becomes energy. That's what's constantly happening. Your soul can never go anywhere. It's energy. Okay? It's energy that at one point inhabits matter. It will again inhabit matter. But what's currently going on is you have an avatar, you're in a body, you're physical, you're a spiritual being, having a physical experience, right? We say that all the time. Well, there will one day be a grand rising when you don't rise. And you have transitioned, therefore. You are leaving behind seed on the earth so that you can be still here in the form of someone else, because the soul splits. When you have offspring, their soul is made up of parts of souls from ancestors. That's how that works. From parents specifically, grandparents therefore also, and so on and so forth. So that's why genealogy is important. Do your genealogy, guys. Do it. Okay. Now, the issue with this is that you have to understand, SiStar Myrah, is in communication with not just her ancestors, like many of us would be. Normally, we're only going to be able to, even at peak enlightenment, communicate with our ancestors. But some people on earth are chosen, usually women, chosen to be in connection with all ancestors. And you might say, is it just all the ancestors of the black people? Is it just black ancestors, or is it ancestors of white people too? All black ancestors, which includes the ancestors of white people, because their ancestors are black. So she is in communication with all of them. Everyone from antiquity. But the way that works is the elements conjure those souls to speak to her. How do we know this? It's actually something that we see with the woman at Endor in the Tanakh. I believe I want to say it's 2 Samuel. I believe it's 2 Samuel. It has to be 2 Samuel. So one of our judges of old, name power, you call him Shemuel. He was a judge, but he was also a thorn in the side of the big chief at the time, whom he personally anointed. Big chief asker of questions, whom we call Shaul. And he was, but then he died. And with Boils with Love being poised to become to take the place of chief, Shaul still wanted to be able to seek advice. Asker of questions wanted to be able to seek advice, ask questions of name power. So he went to the woman at Endor, and the woman of Endor conjured the soul of name power, so that asker of questions could ask questions from name power. And name power's soul was conjured. The elements manifested as name power, because the real name power will never be here again, but the elements can be him at any time, because his soul is in them anyway. Upon death, what's happening is your soul is just being collected by the same Elohim who created you. They are lording over, the specific ones are lording over your bloodline, are lording over each bloodline. So that's where he went, and that's what happened. Now, they conjured him, and it worked. It worked. And what does it say? Who does it say is doing this? Elohim. Elohim conjured Samuel. God conjured Samuel, it's saying. That's what you're going to read if you go read it. I wish I could give you the exact text. I don't have any notes in front of me or anything. I should have thought about that. But it's in 2 Samuel. It's in 2 Samuel. And it's fine, because I'm going to do a video about it anyway that goes more in depth on all of this stuff. But the point is this. You'll notice that it was a thing that did not offend existence. Why wasn't existence offended about this? Now, mind you, existence had just commanded, the greater existence had just commanded asker of questions to get rid of all the diviners in Jerusalem, from Jerusalem. Chase them all out, get rid of them. People assume that that's because it was just bad for them to even do what they do. No, it's not necessarily bad for them to do what they do, but what happens, what is problematic, is they have a tendency to hire out this power as a service to other people who just want to communicate with their ancestors through her, which is not what you should do. She should not be hiring herself out, and you should not be going to her to pay for the use of that communication as a power service offered to you. You should not be doing that. That's what's wrong. I will explain all of that in greater detail, and explain how we can know some of these things in a video to come. But in any case, it's not what you think. She is not inherently adversarial. She is not against us. She is not automatically the enemy for doing what she does, for being who she is. Imparting the wisdom that she is imparting That is her doing what she is supposed to do. Now, she does, by taking money in acceptance for readings, she does actually, because what do we call her in modern language today? In modern English today, we call her a psychic. And for the readings, accepting money she's monetizing the elements that defiles her, and it defames the elements. It is profaning the name of Yahweh. That is what that is. Profaning the name of Yahweh. So that's a problem. But it does not mean that her words are untrue. That's the big thing I want you to take away from this. SiStar Myrah is mapping out the future as we speak. Now, she doesn't create the future. Like I said, she's what type of Sybil? She is someone who divines what is true in the future. A woman with familiar spirit. These spirits are familiar to they're ancestral spirits. A woman of ancestral spirits, a woman who is in connection with all our ancestral spirits, and they are streaming their consciousness through her. She's been chosen as the vessel, and there always will be one. In fact, there's always going to be more than one. They need more than one vessel to serve as that stream of consciousness. Many of the other people claiming to do what she does are not real. They are faking. Most of these people are faking. But she is the real deal. She is real and has been confirmed to me as such. And so I am simply telling you that so that you can understand she is one who knows what's happening because it has been shown to her by the ancestors. The ancestors are not sinless either. So it's entirely possible that one of her own ancestors was in the mix, telling her to hire out when she was much younger, and she's been doing this ever since. I don't condemn her. I simply speak the truth about what is lawful and what is not lawful according to Torah. According to Torah. But we do need her. We need her to continue giving her macroscopic, big picture communications with the ancestors are what we need. She is not here to solve all y'all's little problems talking to these ancestors, because you're supposed to do your shadow work and be in connection with the ancestors yourself. You should be doing that yourself. You need to get enlightened and do your own work. I'm sorry to say it that way. I hope you don't take offense, but you're supposed to do your own work. You're supposed to be in communication with your own bloodline. She shouldn't have to do that for you. You need to take control of your own life. All right? You need to take control of your own life. You're not supposed to know what's coming up for you individually. You're supposed to be taking control of your own life. Do not let her tell you what's going to happen. That's not how life is meant to be lived. All right? You're supposed to take control of what happens yourself. Anyway, SiStar Myrah, listen to her, take in her information as well. I know that it's complicated. We just had the Super Bowl, and that's a big time for her. With the interpretations of the energy surrounding the Super Bowl as this major one of the major events that brings forth the attention of the entire world all at once. That much attention in one space generates a lot of entropy. And I have presentations in the future, many presentations planned in the future to explain to you what the significance of entropy is. Your entire existence is about entropy. Entropy is the core of everything. Entropy is the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is entropy. I am going to explain that in future presentations. But in any case, all that needs to be understood right now is that I have been confirmed by prophecy itself. The elements gave me a sign, and the sign is fulfilled. And the sign signifies that I am in a position to be able, it signifies that I am in communication with them, so that you can know that when I tell you that Ayob Nazir is the real thing, and when I tell you that Yudah Yahsharell is the real thing, and when I tell you that SiStar Myrah is the real thing, you should believe me, because of the sign that confirms me, and I am confirming them. That is what's happening here. And so I want you guys to listen to them. Pay attention. Many of you, I understand, still believe in Yahushua HaMashiach, which, by the way, HaMashiach is ridiculous. That's not even a thing. There's no HaMashiach. It would just be Mashiach. If it's part of his name, first of all, proper nouns do not get the Ha character in Hebrew. I'm not going into any of that, actually. I'll save that for a video probably, or something. I don't know. But anyway, listen, I don't mean to disrespect your beliefs. Even though I am calling you out of Christianity, it is not that I intend to disrespect the beliefs of the Black Hebrew Israelites, which also brings me to the final point that I almost forgot to make. It has been shown to me that, okay, we have the woman at Endor, right? We have this. We have a Sybil among us that I've identified for you, and you can go and listen to her. Do not get a reading from her. I am not. She does enough readings, and she shouldn't have to do any. Do not go and get a reading from her, but listen to what she says. Not about you, because it ain't about you. It's about listen. Go and learn from her what the energies of the galaxy are doing on this earth right now, because she is breaking it down, and because the ancestors are trying to get that information out to alert us, so that we will return to the sacred fire. This is all part of the awakening. So I'm confirming to you, there is a Sybil whom you can trust. Go and seek out SiStar Myrah. Go and also seek out Yudah Yahsharell. He is a prophet among us as well. A prophet of a different sort, because he himself is a watchman and an interpreter of signs, and an interpreter of Torah as well. And then also go and, perhaps most of all, I would say, at least from my humble perspective, seek out Ayob Nazir. He humbles me every time he puts out a video, because I get goosebumps, because the elements have been confirming to me over and over and over. This man is just like you, and the two of you are doing the same job from opposite ends of the spectrum. We need you both to do these things. And I'm seeing a more macroscopic picture now. The elements are letting me see the elements are letting me see this. The elements are letting me see this now. I'm seeing the pieces on the board and how they're moving, and I'm realizing, oh, he and I are actually the same battlefront. We're almost interchangeable. I could die tomorrow and you would be fine, because there's Ayob Nazir, so it doesn't matter. But my bent is different. I am telling you, seek him out, please. If you are not familiar with his channel, fix that. Don't just watch one video. Watch multiple videos. Follow the journey he's been taking. He's been taking us all on through understanding the truths of our existence. All right? That's all I came to say. That's all I came to say. I've said it all. I definitely took more time than I intended to take, and I apologize. As you all know, I don't really do live streams often. I'm going to start doing more live streams. So I want you guys to just kind of be prepared to see me do live streams more often. And that's just because I need the opportunity to connect with you guys, interface with you guys a little bit more intimately, so that you can, because I'm only doing this to, I'm doing whatever it takes to do my job. That's all I'm doing. I'm just doing whatever it takes to do my job. That's it. All right. I've given you my peace. I've given you my vision. And I want you to know that things are gonna get a little dangerous. It's gonna get a little tumultuous at times. I know what it is to fear for your loved ones. I have 6 children. The latter of whom is actually only 3 weeks old. The former of whom, my firstborn, he is actually 15. So quite a spread. My wife and our children mean everything to me. And I consider it a grave risk to be on here doing the work that I'm doing and showing my face. I made a decision to show my face. I felt compelled. I had a download before I started the channel. You must show your face. It doesn't mean that all the rest of these guys who aren't showing their face, the ones who are doing the faceless channels, it doesn't mean, I'm not saying nothing bad about them. They're not necessarily supposed to show their face. I don't know. And I don't know if they're even supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. They probably are, and some of them probably are, and some of them probably aren't. I don't know. I don't know. I can only vouch for Ayob Nazir, Yudah Yahsharell, and SiStar Myrah. Those are the only ones I can vouch for, because they have been confirmed to me by nature itself. So that's all I can say. I can't speak for nobody else. But let me say this: I got on the Black Hebrew Israelite tip, and I forgot to finish my point about that before I jump off. There is merit to Israel, to Sikari, Israel United in Christ, and all of these other guys. You know, the guerrilla Hebrew, whatever. All of these factions. There is merit. They exist for a reason. They are doing the work that no one else is doing. And they are the actual vector of the social contagion that is the awakening. They are spreading the awakening. It's working. I'm telling you, talk to any black person at your church, on the street. Many of them are hesitant to mention this stuff, but if you bring it up first, at least the Israelite part or the Indian part, it could, whatever, they will, one of those things, most black people that you meet today are already hip to it. I've been shocked by who is hip to this stuff in my own community. Pastors of churches. I am told, black pastors of churches in the southeastern conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church are beginning to preach this stuff because they know it to be true, and they are not being silent. They refuse to be silent. I am aghast, appalled, not appalled. I am aghast. I am amazed. I'm delighted to hear that this is happening. And I appreciate this. So you know the awakening is spreading. Let me tell you something. What we traditionally refer to as Black Hebrew Israelites, and I don't mind identifying myself as a Black Hebrew Israelite too, but no one would consider me a traditional Black Hebrew Israelite because I'm Tanakh only, and I'm espousing all of these ancestral connections through these indigenous ancestral connections. and all of that is non-traditional, I know. And all of the shamanism that I get into on this channel is, I know. But I do consider, I have no problem being called a black Indian Hebrew Israelite, grammatical redundancies aside. And that's why I put that in the name of my channel, because I just wanted to say, I see a lot of people who have a problem with the term Black Hebrew Israelite, and they don't want to identify by it. They feel like it's this catch-all that they don't want to identify by. I'm fine with it. No, doesn't bother me. Again, grammar gets under my skin. The syntactic redundancy gets under my nerves. But other than that, yeah. Let me say this. Nathaniel ben Israel. He is the chief of, I'm gonna call him chief. I don't know I don't remember what the rank names are, but he is the head of IUIC, Israel United in Christ, which is the biggest Black Hebrew Israelite organization there is. He's the top. He's the chief. He's the head. He's the head guy. He has been confirmed to me to be the anointed exilarch of our people. And I know that many of you may be wondering, wait, if you don't believe in Jesus and they do, why are you saying, I'm not? They're saying, the elements have said this. The elements are thinking, the elements are too wise for us to fully understand. And how they work is beyond us. But I'm telling you, what has been communicated to me is that he is the exilarch. What does exilarch mean? Nathaniel ben Israel is the exilarch. What does that mean? An exilarch is what it sounds like, the monarch of a people in exile. The person whom an exiled group of people put over them as king. He is our exilarch. He is the authority figure. He is the authority figure to whom we should hearken. His leadership is actually necessary, and we need them. I know you don't want to believe we need them, but actually we need to support Israel United in Christ. We need to support Nathaniel ben Israel. We need to support, even though some of us disagree with him and with them about this whole Jesus thing. I'm not backing down off that at all when I say this. It's idolatry. It's just plain idolatry. The apotheosis of any man as the embodiment, the carnal manifestation of the elements is nonsensical to me. But you all feel that you've made sense of it, and I will just say that Nathaniel ben Israel, he is leader for a reason. And what needs to be solved is all this division. Sikari and all these other groups, look at the splintering among all of these people. These groups need to be combined, and they need to come together, and we need to merge with them as well. However, he must heed the words of the confirmed prophets of the elements. How do you know a prophet is not a real prophet of the Most High? Deuteronomy 18 tells you, you know, because their prophecy doesn't come true. Duh. It sounds very matter of fact, right? It sounds very simple, but it's true. It's true. And so all I'm saying is, listen, there are some prophets who are confirmed by the fulfillment of prophecy. I am one. And I am also telling you that there are others who have been confirmed to me, Ayob Nazir, Yudah Yahsharell, and SiStar Myrah, which is precisely why I continually repeat their names to you. Because I am speaking this thing into existence. I am affirming their words and their and with their names on the affirmation. Listen to me. Nathaniel ben Israel is our exilarch. We must hearken to his authority, understanding, of course, that there is a higher authority that matters far more. But we must hearken to his authority. He is leading excellently. He is leading an idolatrous nation excellently. And we must hearken to that leadership. We must follow. Doesn't mean you have to, it doesn't mean you have to take your spiritual cues from him. But what we do as a people, professionally, socioeconomically, politically, spiritually, or not spiritually, but I'm trying to think of another example. What we do as a people within the confines of the nation we're in, not spiritually, but in every other way, take your cues from Nathaniel ben Israel. Why? Because we must be united. And it has been impressed upon me by the elements that you must the elements are telling me, you must point everyone toward Nathaniel ben Israel so that we can consolidate you. We're trying to gather you, but you still as a people have not learned that you to stop dividing yourselves. As long as you keep dividing yourselves, you will remain conquered. It has happened over and over. Divide and conquer. This is our story. Divide and conquer. This is our story. This is our song. We have been duped over and over, conquered repeatedly. Why? Because we are constantly dividing ourselves. We allowed the Assyrian to conspire with us on how to take down southern Yahsharell. Those of us who come from northern Yahsharell, which frankly, it's all mixed together now. You can't be just southern or northern. There's no one who's just Judah. Like there's Yudah. There's no one who's just Yudah. But Yudah. But yeah, we allowed the Assyrian to conspire with us against southern Yahsharell. And then what did the Assyrian do? Betray northern Yahsharell in the process and conquer it. Conquer us all. As a scheme to separate, to divide, and then conquer, so that northern Yahsharell would be conquerable because it wouldn't have the military might of southern Yahsharell at its beck and call to support and for support. So that's how we were beaten. The same is true here on this land, and I know many of you believe all of that happened on this land as well. That's fine. But I'm saying the same happened more recently. Pre-Columbian Indians had tribes that have been broken up. How? How have they been broken up? They've been broken up because we turned on each other. I have a presentation coming up soon about this. The Paleface did not do us in on his own. He didn't. He only was able to defeat so many tribes because the tribes defeated themselves. We went to war with each other so that the Paleface did not have to fight us. His firearms were not making him superior to us. Not at all. His firearms did not make him superior to us. In fact, his firearms were less accurate than we were on bow and arrow. So it's not about that. I say all this to say, guys, we do need to consolidate our forces. We need to consolidate. And an army has already been built. Nathaniel ben Israel has built it. That is the army. That is the ideal vehicle to use. We must pile in. We must support them. I know how that sounds to some of you who feel that you don't want to be a part of that structure. You don't want to be a part. Listen, you need structure. As a people, we need structure. We've been running away from structure for so long that we forget that structure is the reason why the United States is what it is. They are so organized This particular administration may not be the best example of how organized they are. But historically, the United States has been so organized that is where their power comes from. Structure and diversity. The organizing of so many powers, so many ethnic groups, has made the United States what it is. It's just an example. We need structure to build the empire. We must be structured again. The empire will come naturally. The elements are going to build it are going to build it for us, through us. It's going to happen naturally. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. But one thing is for sure. We need to be one sword wielded by many arms. Please understand that. Because if many arms wield many small swords, we will be ineffective. We must pull together with the Black Hebrew Israelites. Support Nathaniel ben Israel as Exilarch, King of Melech Yahsharell in the exile. Melech Yahsharell Galuyot. Melech Yahsharell Galuyot. I'm still working on my Hebrew. I'm still working on my Hebrew. Grammar's crazy. Anyway, I appreciate you guys being here. I'm done. I'm gonna let y'all go. I just had to get that last little piece in there. Ayob Nazir, Yudah Yahsharell, SiStar Myrah. All right. Peace, family. Peace.